Right now, somewhere near you, there is a phone. It's within reach. Maybe it's in your hand already. You've probably picked it up in the last 10 minutes without deciding to. That's not an accident. That's not weakness either. That's your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. But the real answer is far stranger than you're addicted to your phone. The real answer is that your brain was never built to sit with itself. And what happens when you finally do is going to surprise you. When was the last time you sat in a room with no phone, no music, no task, doing absolutely nothing but existing inside your own head? Not falling asleep, not scrolling, just sitting. For most people, the answer is measured in years, not days. In 2014, a psychologist named Timothy Wilson ran an experiment at the University of Virginia that became famous for one strange detail. He put people alone in a bare room for 15 minutes with nothing to do but think. Before the experiment, he gave some of them the option to press a button that delivered a mild electric shock to themselves, if they wanted to. Most people, beforehand, said they'd pay money to avoid that shock. But alone in that room with nothing but their own thoughts, a large share of them pressed the button anyway. Some pressed it more than once. One man shocked himself nearly 200 times in 15 minutes. Rather than sit quietly with his own mind, he chose pain. That sounds absurd until you understand why. Your brain isn't built for stillness, it's built for scanning. For most of human history, a quiet moment wasn't peaceful, it was dangerous. Silence meant something might be creeping up on you, so your brain developed a default setting. Fill the silence, stay alert, keep moving. Boredom itself is an alarm. It's your ancestors' nervous system whispering, something is wrong here, go find a threat or a task. That alarm never got the memo that the world changed. You're not in a forest anymore. But your brain still treats an empty afternoon the way it once treated an unguarded moment on the savannah. It gets restless. It reaches for stimulation. And in a world that hands you infinite stimulation, the instant you feel that itch, you never have to sit with it. So you never learn how. Here's where it gets stranger. Researchers Virginia Thomas and Netta Weinstein studied something they call self-determined solitude. The difference between being alone because you're avoiding people and being alone because you actually chose it. The second kind, they found, lowers stress, restores a sense of control, and gives your mind room to process things it never gets to process when it's constantly fed new input. People who practiced it, even in small doses, felt calmer and more like themselves, not despite the silence, because of it. Think about your ancestors for a moment. Not the version running from predators, the other version. The one sitting by a fire at night, after the hunt, after the work was done, staring into flames with nothing to do but think. That wasn't wasted time. That was the space where memory consolidated, where a person figured out who they were outside of what they were doing. Your ancestors got hours of that, almost every day. You might get none. Here's the twist your brain doesn't want you to hear. The discomfort you feel in silence isn't proof something is wrong with you. It's proof a muscle has gone unused. John Cacioppo's research on loneliness at the University of Chicago drew a line most people miss. Loneliness and solitude are not the same experience wearing two names. Loneliness is pain, the ache of wanting connection you don't have. Solitude, real solitude, is something else. It's presence, it's you, keeping yourself company on purpose. One depletes you, the other can refill you. The only difference between them is whether you chose it and whether you know how to sit inside it without flinching. Almost nobody gets taught how. School doesn't teach it. Work doesn't reward it. Every app on your phone is quietly designed to make sure you never have to try. So the skill atrophies, and you start to mistake the discomfort of silence for evidence that you're bad at being alone, when really you've just never practiced. Imagine sitting in a chair for 10 minutes, phone in another room, nothing to look at but a wall. What happens in the first 60 seconds? For most people, it's restlessness, a phantom buzz in the pocket. That's minute one, but push past it. Around minutes 3 and 4, the noise starts to quiet. By minute 7 or 8, something closer to actual thought begins, not frantic scanning, but slower processing. Ideas connect that don't connect when you're distracted. Feelings you've been outrunning finally catch up and get looked at, instead of avoided. It's uncomfortable. It's also the only place certain kinds of clarity are even possible. This is why people who finally sit with real solitude describe it less like relaxation and more like a small confrontation. Confrontation with the thoughts they've been drowning out. That confrontation isn't a malfunction, it's the whole point. Your ancestors processed grief, fear, and decisions in that quiet space by the fire because there was nowhere else for it to happen. You still need that space. You've just replaced the fire with a screen that never lets the silence in long enough to do its job. So, what happens if you build the skill back? Thomas and Weinstein's later work found something almost paradoxical. People who spent even small amounts of deliberate, chosen time alone reported feeling more connected to other people afterward, not less. Solitude, done on purpose, didn't isolate them. It recalibrated them. It let their nervous system stand down, so that when they rejoined other people, they showed up calmer, more present, less reactive. The quiet wasn't the opposite of connection. It was the preparation for it. Learning to be alone was never about becoming a hermit. It was about restoring a switch your ancestors used every single day, one you may have never used at all. The switch that lets your mind finally finish a thought instead of abandoning it for the next notification. Your ancestors flipped it by simple necessity, sitting by firelight with nothing but their own company. You have to flip it on purpose now, because nothing in your environment is going to do it for you. Next time, silence starts to feel unbearable. Before you reach for the phone, try noticing that feeling instead. That restlessness isn't proof you're broken. It's an old alarm going off in a world that no longer needs it. You don't have to obey it. You can sit with it instead. The way your ancestors sat by their fires until the noise settles and something quieter and truer finally has room to speak. Because tonight, somewhere near you, there will be a phone. It will be within reach, and for once, the strangest thing you could do with that quiet moment isn't to fill it. It's to let it stay empty, just long enough to hear what's actually in there.